everybody? It's another beautiful day. And it's a beautiful day for a lot of reasons. But for me, it's especially beautiful for one big reason. I was able to fix my Lite-Brite performance issue to a satisfactory level, and I'm going to talk about it, and we'll move on from there and see what kind of things we can get into. Before, we were adding shapes, and the reason that I wanted to take care of the performance issues first was because if any of the downstream functions that were called needed to be changed, and I had replicated them a bunch of times, then I would need to change them a bunch of times, and I didn't want that. So I wanted to get the performance issues, the painful part, out of the way first, at least to where it's satisfactory. And I think I've done that, and I'm here to show you the results. For those of you who don't know, I'm making a Lite-Brite game in THREE.js using the web GPU renderer, and I'm doing this mainly because I want to learn, and I'm doing this project in particular because I realized that I needed to start with something small so that I could begin to understand the concepts. And boy was I right, because this has proven to be very, very challenging, and I've learned a ton. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what we've made happen here. I'm gonna get rid of these stray files real quick because they're dangerous. Beatsmaker, thank you. Thank you on the 400 subs. Yeah, it happened like all of a sudden yesterday when I was streaming. Thank you for the congrats. Alright. So here we have the board like we know and we love, and as we made yesterday, we show this little preview. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm spoiling it. So here's the lights on here, and we can just keep adding these forever in theory, and it should be still performant. See? And the answer to this was not quite what I expected, but I think that the underpinnings are pretty much similar. I think that there still is a frame drop there, and there's a nice little utility that comes standard with THREE.js out of the box that we can use to determine that, but that's still, I don't know if you remember yesterday, the frame rate drop was absolutely atrocious. We couldn't even move this thing. It was like sub 5 FPS. And I'll show you what happened, and something pretty surprising. We'll go over it, exactly what that was. But that's, I mean, as you can see, performance issues are dealt with. So let's take a look and see exactly what it was that fixed it. So I was right about one thing I was talking about yesterday, and that is we don't need to add post-processing every time we add a light. That is unnecessary, but that's not the big thing that was causing the problem. The big thing that I found out was causing the problem was the point light. And go into GitHub because I got rid of it. Turns out I don't need it. Instance mesh right here. So on the maybe it's not there, sorry. Maybe I didn't delete it, actually. Let me just comment. Let me look. Hold on a second. What is it, Beatsmaker? What's dang? Alright. Yeah. So this is what it ended up being. So we start out with this variable at the top called pegs. And that represents a instance of all the pegs, basically. And then when we set the new mesh, and then we create, and then we call clone, I'm guessing that it just uses the same resources or something. I'm not entirely sure. This was halfway like ChatGPT'd and halfway, you know, my solution. There were two solutions, and this one was the one that was the least complicated and had the most performance gain. So there you have it. I don't entirely know why it's working, but it is working. It's a much better use of resources. That, and also we don't need the light. The light, apparently when you add a light to the scene, it with the WebGPU renderer, it will trace rays in 6 directions, and that is not good for performance. So instead we're just giving it a mesh, and then the bloom effect takes care of the light, although on this screen it looks a little dull, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'd like to increase the effect a little bit. I don't know. Actually, no, that looks good. What do you think, Beatsmaker? Yo, bro, I need you to learn some Java. I need you. Why? That's a weird request right there. Why would he need you to learn Java? That's pretty weird. Okay. So, just to get something light going, I'm gonna go back to doing some shapes. Let's go with add rectangle of lights. Yeah, the only thing, I mean, Spring Boot is Java. That's pretty common. And Android apps are in Java a lot of the time. They can also be in Kotlin, or Kotlin, I don't know how you say it. But, yeah, that's the only two things I can think of, really. Unless he's dealing with some, like, crazy enterprise stuff. Alright, let's see what happens here. This is, Copilot is pretty good at making these functions that make these shape on this board. It's been done like 1,000 times, I'm sure. Alright, let's refresh, and let's see the rectangles. Squares are rectangles, so we're good on that. And this is what was really breaking it before, but as you can see, doing good. A little bit of a frame drop there, but I have ideas for how we can deal with that too, because right now I think that there's overlap, and there needs to not be overlap. That's something we can deal with today relatively close. But I think I'm going to add more shapes in. Let's go ahead with the add rectangle. Yeah. That one looks good. And what else do we want? Probably a line of lights. So let's try that. Actually, you know what? I noticed that the rectangle had no... It wasn't supposed to be filled. Or was it actually? So in the function we set is filled to false. So yeah, that's not good. So what is a unfilled rectangle? Unfilled rectangle is the same thing except we're only dealing where y equals 0 or x equals 0 or x is equal to the width and or y is equal to the length. So if x is not equal to 0 and y is not equal to 0, there's more than that. Wait. So if this is the wrong function. My bad. It would help if we did it in the right function. So that's what we want to do here. So if, yeah, exactly, pretty much. And it's accounting for the actual width of the light too. So yeah, that should be good to go. Let's see if that fixes it and makes some unfilled rectangles. Makes L's. So obviously on the upper half we're a little bit too low on the upper half. Let's see. So we're going minus y co-f on that, and then for the, let's see, the height. Yeah, I don't like that instead. Come on. Why does it keep going away? Oh, there it is. So use, you know, and yeah, let's try that. Beatsmaker, you're gonna go because you're building your very first PC. Nice, congratulations. You want to tell me about it, or you want to wait and keep it a secret? Like what's inside of it? That didn't work. All right, keep it a secret. Well, good luck. My experience is it wasn't that hard. Don't freak out if you get it fully built and it doesn't turn on, because that's freaking common. All right, don't freak out. I freaked out when mine didn't turn on when I when I spent all that time putting it together, and oof. All right, good luck. Okay. No problem. Take care. All right. So the rectangle, I mean, this was way closer. I wanted it to be a little bit more liberal, I guess. I mean, in theory, I could do like this, but it wouldn't be equal. I think we can use floor. It would never be equal because of the rounding. Let's see. I mean, if that's the way that we're doing it, then we have to multiply I by J and or we have to add them together and then multiply them by the length of it, something like that. I and J. Oh man, this is not coming to me easily. Did that do it? Not quite. Same problem. Let's see. Oh wow, the for loop is iterating. Okay. I didn't realize the for loop was iterating by the coefficient. That's crazy. I didn't even think to do that. Well, then that means that we're only dealing with the I and the J being equal to 0 and yeah. I equals 0 or J equals 0 or and then this should be width divided by 2. And this should be height divided by 2. I think that was the issue the whole time. Oops. Missing like a curly or something somewhere. What is it? It's gonna tell me like unexpected end of file or something. Is this for loop not closed? Yeah, I think that's it. And that's it. For loop was not closed. All right, let's see. There we go. What else do we got? Ooh, nothing. So the is filled is false here. So is this saying that, oh, I see. I is never equal to 0. It's either equal to negative. I think that's what it was trying to tell me. I is width, J is height. Okay, cool. Let's see. Still the same L going on there. So yeah, let's see. This is not right. Less than width. Okay, yeah, that is right. So it goes from negative height over 2. Isn't that defined as x max? Anyway, I'm not going to deal with it now. So negative height, and it goes to positive width minus, it's got to be 2 coefficient, right? coefficient times 2. That way it gets the row over, I guess. It makes sense, right? Yeah, I know. It's pretty cluttered. And I'm not gonna do that like that either. I just don't like the fact that that is not in integers. I think that's what's confusing me. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna rewrite this in integer. Let I equal 0. And then do the rest. No. I don't like plus equals. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay, let's see what kind of rectangle we get from this integer only version. Okay, it's a rectangle. Only has 4, and it's not filled, so that's good. Let's see. Yeah, dude, Copilot is absolutely overpowered. So we have 2. What are our arguments, width and height? Yeah, I have 2 by 2. That is correct. So let's change this to 20 by 20. Well, we get a filled rectangle, unfortunately. But that's because we don't have our if check in place. And also the spacing on it needs to be relying on the coefficients. So, let's see. I don't think that's right. Like, I think that's gonna change the position to be offset. I mean, it looks right, but it should be centered. You know what I mean? So this should be minus that. It should also be minus that. And then we get it centered. Perfect. And then the filled part. Perfect, that looks great. I like doing this. People don't recommend doing this, but I like having the no parentheses thing. There we go. Integers. Why would it ever do a floating point loop? That is the worst idea ever, by the way. If you're doing a loop, do integers. Integers. Okay. Alright, let's commit the rectangles. Again, I guess. Let's clean up the trash, though. I had to clean up a lot of trash yesterday, so I'm going to be a little bit better about that. I don't want that as my function. I'm going to figure out how to do the switching between the functions later. I'm going to do that later. Yeah, it's something you have to really train yourself how to do, because, like, you know, you get into it and you really want to do that next thing, and you want to see it get done, and you get caught up in it, and you can, if you're not careful, you can wind up too far out in the ocean, in the abyss, you know, and that's when the sharks get you. All right. So yeah. I guess I should also test that the non-filled rectangle will work as well. So this filled here, this is set to false by default. So yeah, I deleted that. And yeah, here it is. All right, so this should make a filled rectangle right here. Yeah, a little tiny one. Let's make a bigger one. A really big one. That's a big rectangle. Shing. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that works. I'm gonna go ahead and discard that. All right, I think I've had enough of the shapes. We're gonna have to go into something that's more serious soon. One thing about the shapes, though, is that we're gonna have to consider how we're going to control the shapes. Each shape is going to have a size and a shape and the ability to receive colors. We have to think about the ability to make something multicolored, make something you know, where the user can choose a list of colors rather than just one color, and then the shape function that we have that we're going to use to extend all the rest. Maybe a class would be better suited for this, actually. I think I'll actually go into using classes. That function is going to need to, or class is going to need to be able to receive all those same inputs. So that's why a class would be better for it. So we can extend it among all the other shapes. Pretty simple, right? All right. So we added a little rectangle. That's all we did so far. I don't want to get into the crazy stuff right now. What does rubber ducking mean? Is that procrastinating, or what does that mean? Is it like where I do this? Rubber ducking. Quack, quack, quack. It's a Sunday. I don't want to do some crazy stuff. It's going to be patriotic. Explaining your thought process to an inanimate object to catch your mistakes or paint the idea more clearly. I don't like to think of streaming as, you know, talking to inanimate objects. I'm talking to you. Or whoever like can listen. But I also do that, not necessarily inanimate objects. I don't have to be focusing on an object, but I definitely talk to myself a lot. But like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, you think about things before they happen. I've pretty much thought about every problem that this has had before it happened, and I still hit it head on, knowing what it's kind of what it's going to be like almost. The object part is optional. Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes it helps, though. It'd be like Shakespeare talking to a skull or whatever. I don't even know if that's a real thing, or is that just in cartoons? I don't know. What are we going to do today? I don't know, the dogs are barking. This method stems from the theoretic idea that trying to explain something is the best way to learn it. I don't think that trying to Actually, yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. If you do something, that could be like, you know, you could have done something by mistake. Like you accidentally did something right and you don't understand it. But then, like, you won't be able to, your likelihood to be able to reproduce that in the future is very low. But then if you do something and you fully understand it and you're able to even communicate that to somebody to where they fully understand it, to where you can actually package it in different ways and they can, deconstruct it in their brain or whatever, reassemble it. That is obviously a more comprehensive understanding, and your likelihood to be able to reproduce what you did in the future will be much higher because you have a comprehensive understanding. Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to say that doing it is better, but I think doing it is the precursor to being able to explain it. But what I'm doing is weird because I'm explaining it before I do it. So this is like I'm predicting it. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm sensing myself probably stopping here pretty soon because I just don't want to get into. If I'm going to get into this stuff, no, I don't have the time. Dai Baba. Personally, this works for me because the doubts in my head are the reason I fail to grasp things. When I have to explain things, I clear the doubts. Yeah. Sometimes, personally, I don't realize I don't know something until I start to try to explain it. And then I look like a fool, and then I realize, wow, I need to go back and hit the books a little bit because I actually don't know what I'm talking about. You ever have that happen? Either way, you're learning by communicating. Communicating is a process. Is either way, whether it's the hard way or the way where you've prepared and you know what you're talking about. Both methods or circumstances, however one would be a circumstance, the other would be a method. Both are kind of. Well, I lost my train of thought. Because of the same thing? I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah. I'm going to do a line because it's easy. I'm going to do not that kind of line, but yeah, I'm going to do we're going to add a line of lights. Oops. One thing that's annoying that I don't like is having to pass in all of these arguments every time. Every time. It is absolutely ridiculous. No, I don't want length and position. That's a stupid line. I want I kind of want two overloads. I want post 1 and post 2. And then I also want position and angle. But whatever. Alright. Let's test it out. Click, add. This one is where we're testing a function. And let's add that in. Let's give it a little prompt ski. Oops, it's annoying. Sometimes having tab as the accept prompt thing is annoying. And maybe there's a better way to do that. It's funny you don't know the rubber duck phenomenon. LOL. It's rather popular among coders. Well, they see that's where I differ from most people. Is I don't really consume, like, I don't know. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've been living under a rock, raising my kids for the past 6 years, so I have not Like my entire coding career has been just me focusing on like what's the next best thing for like me um, for my job basically. So I haven't focused on anything until now other than just that. I didn't want it to be let light. I want it to be let origin post equals that. I don't need to know the distance. Right? This music's getting annoying to me. There we go. Now we're drawing a light to the a line to the origin every time. Pretty cool. I imagine we can use some trig functions to do some pretty cool stuff with these other functions. There we go. There's the lines. There's your lines. I guess with lines we can technically make fonts. I really don't want to get all into that, but we can. Oh my god. The rabbit hole on this game, or whatever you call it, does not end. It just does not. I think I'm gonna need like a list of features and just stick to that, because I could just go on forever. Not right now. I get these ideas randomly, but it is what it is. Cool. Kapow! It's like a firework. Like, here's another idea. You could totally wipe out the board every frame and do an animation on this Lite-Brite board. People can create their own Lite-Brite animations. I think there's something here. Honestly, I do. I think that there's something for making it to where you can only fill in fixed pixels, and I think that the brightness thing kind of sells it a little bit. And I think the web platform is pretty sweet too, the fact that you can do this on the web. But I don't know. I think that's going to be it for me though. I'm getting pretty tired and I gotta go soon anyway. So I'm going to commit the lines, and that's going to be it. Draw lines. Alright guys. That's it for today. I'll have something big planned pretty soon. Actually, I say that's it for today, but I might come back later, and that's when we'll get into some of the heavier stuff. I'll pick something kind of get a list and implement what I think is the most important thing. Some of those things include shape class, UI control for selecting size of shapes. I guess that's kind of the same thing. Menus, configurations, settings. That's what I meant by configurations. And then some of the more ambitious things I'll probably go for later, but it's something to consider while I'm contemplating everything. The image upload, which will allow somebody to upload any image, and it will transform it into a Lite-Brite picture. That's going to be tough for a few reasons, because we're going to have to take some of the frames or some of the pixels rather, and drop them out completely, because if we render them all as like a lit object with a pass, then that might be just not overwhelming but underwhelming, because if you have too much light on the screen, then it's like you have no light on the screen. It's what happens when I fill this entire board with light. It just doesn't look as impressive as just, you know what I mean, like the few lights. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to do that. I'm sure that I see all sorts of like Cartoonify and SVG generator image uploads. So I'm pretty sure that kind of thing is possible. This is just it's just a matter of buckling down and doing it. So I think that, you know, once we get through some of these bigger things, it'll be a lot more fun. But this is fun so far, and I think that when we add some of the functionality that I'm discussing, it's going to get really fun. So that's it for right now. Thank you for joining, and I hope I see you again soon. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Twitch. I only have 22 followers there, so I need all of the help I can there. And if you are around when I'm streaming and you pop over to Twitch, see there's no activity there, it would really help me out there, because the way that Twitch works is if there's more people watching it, I mean, it's the same as YouTube, but it definitely doesn't help that I have 0 people watching. So it'd be super helpful if people could go over there and watch me too, and follow me there, and then also subscribe on YouTube. And I'm going to be dedicating more time to editing videos, and I'm going to be dedicating more time as well to setting up some of the other things like the Discord server, and somebody asked if they could donate, so I might be setting up a Patreon so I could shamelessly collect money from you guys. And yeah, hit me up if you guys have any questions or anything, and as always, it's been fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.